And welcome back to Daily Justice. I'm Dave Erickson. Our topic today, who gets the pets in a divorce? Washington's pet custody laws explained with Mark Hodgson, family law attorney here in Spokane, Washington. Interesting topic, Mark. How do Washington courts typically handle disputes over who gets to keep the pets during a divorce?
There is nothing typical about pets in a divorce. I mean, honestly, that's one of the things I think that we just should get up front is pets are very interesting things because what's a pet, for one? Is it an iguana? Is it a horse? Is it a thoroughbred? Is it a dog or a cat or otherwise? So oftentimes they are considered technically property, but people sure as heck don't treat them like property. They treat them like family members, and the emotions that are actually surrounding pets are visceral, real, and need to be considered.
How do the courts see pets? As pets, or are they property?
I think they're generally property, I would say. And the reason I say generally is I think, generally they are property. However, if someone were to mistreat a pet, or be accused of abusing a pet, I don't think they really treat it as like breaking up a living room table. They see that as a very serious sort of offense. I've seen, from the criminal aspect, I've seen people do more time sometimes abusing an animal than necessarily like assaulting a human being. And that's just how the laws work out and so forth in the sentencing. But, so I would say, do they treat them that way? Yes and no. If you were to mistreat a pet, I don't think that the court would behave very well towards you. And it would bleed over into other areas of your plan, such as like parenting plan. If you're going to mistreat a puppy or something like that, then we're not going to leave you with kids. Those things can be very, very serious. And so the judges get to have a little bit of discretion of just like what this means. But as far as values and so forth, I think they're generally considered property.
Can couples create what's called a pet custody agreement beforehand?
I guess you could, in the way that you could contract for something like that. It'd be more of like a civil contract. There's no real parenting plan under Washington courts. I would really discourage people from doing that. I know we all love our dogs and we all love our cats and we all love our animals, and that's real, and I understand that. But you're choosing to divorce someone or get away from someone, and in those particular cases, you need to kind of make a clean break. Because if you're going to keep a dog that's going to live for 15 years and you're going to do a visitation schedule with this dog over the course of 15 years with that other person, you really are keeping a tie with that other person. It works for kids. I've not seen it work well for dogs and cats.
Is this even a real concept? Is it something that would surprise people? There are pet custody issues in divorces?
I don't think it would surprise any pet owners. I don't think it would surprise so much as one pet owner that there are disputes over this. I've seen people argue over animals. I've seen people take this issue to trial by itself. It is something, this is a hill people will die on. That's a metaphor, by the way. But this is absolutely something that is very, very important and we deal with all the time. And in fact, if you were to look at like the domestic violence protection orders, they even do have a section for who's going to take the pets, where the pets are going to be, and everything else. So Washington courts are aware of pets and they're aware of the importance of pets. It just gets down to the point of when you have the expense of a lawyer, how much do you want to pay a lawyer to represent you on a pet? Because your dog, Puddles, is going to become a very expensive dog very quickly. And it's worth it to some people, but others, it's not.
Is this something that the court frowns upon? Like, you're bringing this to my attention when there's more important things to be considered?
Pets, I think, get a little bit more of a pass, but yes, I think, if you're going to have a trial over just a pet, sometimes I think the courts would grumble a little bit. But what the courts really hate is arguing over personal property such as dishes and couches and things like that. I think pets get a little bit higher billing than that, but I don't know that the courts are thrilled about it. But I do think the judicial officers that I've run into certainly understand the importance of animals. I do think, though, like if you're to have animals and kids in a case, the court is going to spend the vast majority of their time dealing with the kids. If there's issues with regarding the kids, they're going to figure that out, and then they're just going to split the animals.
And then court evaluates a parent's parenting skills with children. What about the pet's interest between two parents or a couple.
I don't know if the court's really going to be able to do that very well because, I mean, what do you have, an expert animal person? You can't ask the pet how well he's been treated. I think that would be difficult. I think you'd be looking for more towards, what we call malfeasance or abuse of the pet. Like, I think if you're prone to abuse animals, like somebody who's going to spank the dog or whip the dog or something like that, which God forbid that happens. But, if you're going to have that, then I think that would be something the court would really take a dim view of. But whether or not you give them the kibble versus the organic, soft dog food, I don't think that that's necessarily going to be something that you want to spend a lot of time in court on. With that being said, though, you can always agree to who gets the dog or who gets the cat.
Like in a prenup?
Well, not even a prenup, just before the case goes to court.
Okay.
You can always say, look, take the dog. And the thing is, I mean, it sounds really bad, but if you loved that dog, could you? Could you love another? I mean, but that's not the same, and I understand that. But and we're happy to represent people, and I understand the importance of animals. But I do sometimes when you get into these, I think you have to take the holistic picture, and sometimes the dog takes center stage. It's interesting, but it's very important to some people.
Very much so. Mark, thank you very much. For more expert legal advice or to get trusted help with your situation, visit HodgsonLawOffices.com or call the number on your screen to schedule your free consultation today. There's also a direct link below this video.